Hello everybody and welcome to episode number 20 of Touring the Londonverse. I'm your host ScottBGaming and today we'll be looking at a promotion known as Empire State Wrestling. Based out of New York City, I saw from the comments in the previous videos that you guys and girls had requested that I return for an American promotion in the next episode, and here we have it. From here you can see that I've chosen James' avatar, gone with the default settings. I've remembered to take Fog of War off so we can get a bit of a better overview of the characters that we'll be reviewing in the promotion. So let's get right in there. First thing to note actually about the promotion is that their shows are held on a monthly basis on Saturday of week 3, I believe, of each month. However, for the purpose of this video, I've made the first episode appear on Saturday of week 1. I'll amend that in the data afterwards, but just for this video we've moved that date. Let's go now into the Empire State Wrestling Central Hub. Some of you may be familiar with this promotion. I believe this was one of the companies that was covered in my Twitch videos previously. However, again, this is a new series for YouTube, so let's get stuck in. We can see that we have regional size and the 25th in the rankings as far as the starting data in the Londonverse. Not too bad, not the best though, certainly. And we have $2.5 million in the bank. The first show we have is ESW Empire State of Mind, which is taking place tonight. From the messages there, it's just me being needing position on the roster, but as I'm the owner and booker for this video, that's absolutely fine. We don't need to worry about that. So let's have a look at the roster. Just move this over for you all. And we start with Alvin Benson. Young wrestler from Pennsylvania, 27 years of age. He's a middleweight, he's a face, and he's got a fan zone gimmick. He's part of a tag team. In fact, I will say that the ESW tag team division is probably, well, definitely the smallest of the ones we've covered so far. There are only 3 starting tandems in the company, but obviously that can be amended with however you guys want to book the company going forward. He's one half of the tag team, The Ordinary Guys, fan favourite underdogs. If we have a look at his stats on the right-hand side of the screen there, nothing really shouts out as being spectacular, but again, regional size federation, it's not going to have elite grapplers, but there are still some fairly decent talents in the company in general, but Alvin Benson probably doesn't fall into that category, but he is young enough to improve. His basics in psychology are not bad actually for a 27-year-old in this company. Someone that I'd have definitely more use of being a tag team worker than a singles competitor, but not anyone who's worth getting rid of at this point, certainly. Have a look now at Bradley Merton. Promising young all-rounder. We can see from his stats there in the chain wrestling, mat wrestling, and the basics and psychology, everything is pretty good actually. He's with the clean-cut gimmick. He's only at an opener at the moment, but this is someone that I could certainly see going higher up the card in short order. As a singles competitor, I think he'd be pretty good. You can always put him in a tag team as well, but I think this would probably be one of the projects of the company if I was booking a long-term game as ESW. I think there's something about him. It's not particularly he's got a great look or anything like that, but he's got a little bit of everything that can see him succeed, and I think that's important. So that's Bradley Merton. Move on now to one of the managers in this company. That's Dante Cashflow Smith, or Cashflow as he's better known as in the pro wrestling world. 37 years of age. He's pretty good on the microphone and charismatic, which always helps when you're a manager. Got the pimp gimmick. Off the top of my head, I think he manages the tag team champions in Take What We Want, or TEW3. Overall, it's pretty good to have in the company as a manager. There is another manager in the company, but Cashflow certainly is the better of the two, I think it would be fair to say. And when we come across the female manager that's in the company, you'll probably more likely agree with me than disagree. As the mouthpiece of the tag team unit, I think he's fantastic actually. I think because the whole gimmick of TW3 is no nonsense, go in there, kick some ass and leave, whereas Cashflow is kind of the little hype man who's always yelling about how good they are and what they're going to do, this, that and the other. So he fills the role very nicely, I think. And now we come to the ESW Heavyweight Champion, and that's Cameron Rich. Main eventer. In the ring, technically speaking, he's very good. However, he doesn't really have anything in terms of star quality about him, so even though he can carry himself in the ring to a decent level and get a good match out of pretty much anyone that's put in front of him, I don't think he should ever be in a position where he's the guy that the company relies upon. And I think maybe that could be seen as a bit of a disservice to Cameron Rich, but that's just personally how I see it. Now, if we look at the other people that are in the company at the moment, he is one of the better ones to have the title on for the short term at least. So, how long he'd hold that title for, I don't really know. It depends, obviously, how you guys would want to book it. But for me, I'd be looking to try and cement someone else as a solid champion for the company. But Cameron Rich would still have a role to play, putting on good matches with other workers, maybe in the upper mid-card position. But anyway, he's the current ESW Heavyweight Champion, or ESW... No, I was right, ESW Heavyweight Champion. So we're going to have to deal with that for now, at least. Move on now to Chris Boone. Now, Chris Boone is a main event heel. Bit of a punk gimmick, so you've got a few tattoos there towards the shoulders and on the chest and up or lower part of the neck. Also got a little bit of a frosted tip going at the front of his hair. That's a peculiar look, especially with the goatee and the tattoos and everything, but hey, he makes it work apparently. Now we see that his chain wrestling and mat wrestling are pretty good. Everything else is alright. Nothing particularly stand out about him, although having said that, trying to play the role of a Japanese junior when you're a light heavyweight is quite remarkable. So fair play to him for that, for giving that a go at the very least. Not someone I'd see taking the title from Cameron Rich, but I'd have to see how he performed on the day, whether he was even deserving of being in the category of main event at all, but at the moment this is where he is. Not bad, certainly not great though. Move on now to one half of the ESW Tag Team Champions, and that is Deep Freeze. Tag team partners Lil Dante, we'll be seeing him later. As I said, pretty much with the cash flow bio, we've got a tag team that just kind of go in there, kick ass, leave, and they've got the manager behind them to kind of do all the talking where they would probably fall down themselves. Now, I think the tag team, well, I know that the tag team are my favourite in this company. Got the gangster gimmick going for him, light heavyweight competitor, brawler, 30 years of age as well, so he's not over the hill, which is always handy. But again, best suited for being a tag team competitor. Move on now to Dirk Ivers. I was just having a quick look at the bio there. He's been aggravating fans and fellow wrestlers for the past 10 years. That's a bit harsh. So for the first 3 years they liked him, then for the rest of the time not so much. That's pretty good. Middleweight competitor, upper mid-carder, arrogant heel. Now he has a punkish look about him, I think it's fair to say, but putting it with the arrogant heel personas, I think pretty interesting and makes him different. In ring, certainly nothing fantastic about him. Brawling, he's passable in, and technical base work is okay. Everything else is middling to poor. Probably someone who's better suited to the mid card, but it just shows that you don't really need to be the best to kind of succeed in ESW. Don't get me wrong, there are characters that I do really quite like in this company. And it's not to say I don't like Dirk Ivers or Cameron Rich or Chris Boone, but I don't think they're necessarily positioned in the best place for them in the company. But that can be changed going forward, so that's fine. Move on now to Dr. Crush. Now, Dr. Crush, canonically, is a big part of the Londonverse data. He was a character back in the day in the AWF, I think he was around in the 70s and 80s, and he had a pretty good feud with Daniel Harding, who we now know to be the colour commentator for the AWF. Dr. Crush is still got a good mind for the game, so he can also do the role of road agent as well as personality, and even colour commentator, much like Daniel Harding. So he can fill many roles, which makes him very valuable to this company. 64 years of age, obviously he's not going to be putting up any fights in the ring anytime soon. He has retired from that aspect of the game, and we'll be using him as a colour commentator for this company. So I'm happy with that. Got very good microphone and charisma and acting ability, that's great. Move on now to Eric Chalice. Now what's interesting about Eric Chalice, not that he's a mid-card heel, that's relatively standard for Mill. He's got the manipulator gimmick, but he's also a little bit of a douche with how when he gets interviewed. He will suggest that he's too good for the minor leagues, but he'll do it in a way that suggests that he's dead serious about what he's saying and not in terms of just being a character. That's his general thoughts on where things stand. Now, I do like this guy actually, 34 years of age. This is probably the time to push him if you're going to give him a significant push, and I think I might do that. I would probably put him towards the upper mid-card main event scene of ESW, and I think he's got enough behind him to be able to maintain that position on the card. Move on now to the other half of the Ordinary Guys tag team, Harley Steele. Much like Alvin Benson, He's a little bit older than his partner. He's a lower mid-carder. In-ring wise, he's not great, is he? Let's be honest, if we're looking at the stats there. But again, basics and psychology are pretty good, and you know, he's good for the tag team division. You'd be hard pressed to push him as a singles competitor, I think. That's just my personal opinion on the guy. But again, it's not someone that I'll be looking to get rid of from the company, so he does serve a purpose here. Moving now to one of the better characters, certainly in the company, and that's Harvey Keenan. Got the kind of eyeliner running down his cheeks to kind of create the dark, gothic imagery, I guess. Got the cult leader gimmick. He's a main eventer in the company, which is where you'd want to keep him. His in-ring stuff is not bad, it's not great, but he's got a lot of character as well, and his acting ability is able to carry him in the main event scene. He's certainly not poor in-ring wise, but he's not one of the better members of the roster either. So, the fact that he's got the entertainment skills to fall back upon means that he's able to maintain his level of performance in the main event, and that's why he's there. And I'd be happy to keep him there as well. Move on now to the man who plays the bit of a bully, although he's got a bit of a sexy heartthrob vibe to him, I guess, based on what the bio's informing me there. Entertainer, lower mid-carder. I'm really not interested in Jacob Ruthless, I have to be honest with you. I think this was one of the characters that was submitted to the ESW competition, and I don't mean this in a bad way, because obviously he made it into the game, but I think the selection for ESW was relatively thin on the ground, and that's why this character got in. Me personally, just saying. Not to say that it's, I don't know, I think I might be being a little bit harsh. Well, long story short, I just don't see much of a future for him. I wouldn't be pushing him up the card unless desperate times call for desperate measures, but quite forgettable, has to be said, quite forgettable. James Avatar, that's myself, don't need to worry about that. And we move on now to the other manager of ESW, and that's Janet Murray. Now, Janet Murray, I believe, is the manager for, if I quickly peruse the rest of the characters that we've yet to cross. When I see the name, I should know. Well, he says, it's not Johnny Chase, because I know Johnny Chase is the one that was trying to attack her. Lee Harrison, that's the guy's name. She's the manager of Lee Harrison, and probably if I actually just looked in the bio, it would say that. Although it doesn't look like it does. Oh yeah, it does. Lee Harrison, there you go. So, Janet Murray's a bit of a wallflower. She doesn't really do much, but she does play a face manager, which I think in general is relatively quite hard to pull off, because it's easier to mouth off as a heel manager, I would personally think anyway. So to me, cash flow is a much more valuable asset to the company than Janet Murray is, but she'll be embroiled in the storyline with Johnny Chase and Lee Harrison for the meantime anyway. Girl Next Door gimmick, not too much more to say about Janet Murray. Move on now to my favourite character in the data, or not the data, but in ESW, and that's Jason Disaster Levine, or Jason Disaster as he works as. 32 years of age. In-ring, again, whilst not being spectacular, he's pretty solid at everything that he attempts, and he's got decent character as well to back it up. Now, he's a main event heel with a narcissist gimmick, and I'd definitely keep him around that level. I think his look is pretty fantastic. And someone that I would probably, well, almost certainly have take the title off Cameron Rich at some point. Not to say I'll be doing that in the show that I'll be booking for you guys, but that would be an indication of what I'd potentially do right off the bat. Move on now to Joey Relamano. Now, Joey Relamano got Puerto Rican descendancy. In-ring wise, he's actually not bad. The chain wrestling and mat wrestling submissions are pretty good, but not much else to him. His entertainment skills are okay, just about. Old school face, someone that I see kind of making up the numbers. Interesting facial hair and look. I mean, you could do something with him, but he wouldn't be one of my priorities in the company, where you've got like Jason Disaster, and later on we're seeing Levi Tundra. And even, I quite like Zero, who's the last gentleman that we'll be covering in this roster review. But Joey Relamano, he's good, he's not great, so probably going to stay around the mid-card level, which is where he currently is, so that seems about right. And if he were to develop, maybe you could think about pushing him up the card into a higher position, but for now, I'd keep him there. Moving on now to Johnny Chase. Quite like Johnny Chase, even though his in-ring work isn't fantastic by any means. But the got the egomaniac gimmick. He just looks like a tough bastard, to be quite frank. 33 years of age, so now will be the time again, much like what we saw with not Harvey Keenan, who was it? Eric Chalice. If you're going to push him, now would be the time. Whether he'd do well, I don't actually know. Probably not. And I think mid-card is where I'd see him staying. He is a middleweight, but mid-card is where I'd see him staying on the roster. I don't know. We'd have to see how the storyline develops with him and Lee Harrison as to where I see him going in the future. But for now, at least he's got a storyline to keep him relevant. Kenneth Fairmount. I do like this gentleman, lower mid-carder, Japanese junior. In-ring wise, he's got some pretty good abilities in the aerial and even in the chain wrestling is pretty decent. We've got a gentleman who was previously employed by the AWF in their developmental territory when it was California Wrestling Organization, not the CPWE, which is now the AWF's developmental fed. Kenneth Fairmount just basically got tired of keep being overlooked because of his style, decided to ask for his release, got granted that, and now he's working the independents. This is a gentleman that I would look to rocket up the card pretty quickly. I think his looks quite good, his abilities are pretty damn good as well, and someone who'd be more valuable being at the upper end of the card than at the bottom. Move on now to the American-born Japanese heritage. Japanese heritage? What do I mean? American-born but Japanese parents? Yeah, well, you know what I mean. You know what I'm getting at. Put the words that I just used there in the correct order in a sentence that makes even the slightest bit of sense, because what I said there was absolute bollocks. Here we have Kenta Shiozumi. Kenta Shiozumi is one half of the tag team with Titus Flint, known as the 7th Street Saints. He's a Street Fighter gimmick, got a bit of a rough edge about him, so it's quite a strike-heavy offense, I would have thought. Potentially, even though he's a tag team worker, I could see him maybe making a few strides in the singles division if that was how you'd be leaning towards, I guess. Because, I don't know, I think the tag team division in general for ESW needs a bit of a revamping, and not from the perspective of being the creator of the data, but it gives you the opportunity as the player to have a look and see what you want to change and what you want to add. And I think ESW's tag team division would be quite fun to, one, add upon, and two, kind of make its own entity, where I feel like it's a bit of a second thought in this company at the moment. But yeah, Kenta Shiozumi could certainly do well, probably in the singles ranks as well. At the moment, again, happy to have him as a tag team worker, and quite frankly, I don't know if we can afford to split up another tag team if we've only got the 3. Moving on now to Lee Harrison, who's managed by Janet Murrin. Currently in a feud with Johnny Chase. I'm not sure if it's actually set up in the data for them to be feuding, but obviously that is the intention. In the ring, he's got potential. He does have potential. He's 29 years of age. He's not bad at anything apart from aerial and flashiness isn't great, but that's not too much of a problem. Everything else he's already fairly competent at, so it'd be a case of building from there. I could see him being a future main eventer. He's already at the upper mid-card status now, so being a main eventer isn't too much of a stretch, I wouldn't have thought. And here we have the project, I would say, of the company, and that's Levi Tundra. 28 years of age. I look at the stats and I keep thinking, I wish you were better, because I could see endless amounts of potential in you otherwise. I mean, you are, don't get me wrong, you are a main eventer, but I think that's why I see him as the project. So when I refer to him as being the project of the company, I don't mean that he's an opener and you want to get him all the way to upper mid-card main event status, because he's already there. But I'm willing him to develop at a very high level and then be the kind of character that I think he could be, because I think the look's pretty decent. I think his stats are okay in most situations, but not great. And it's just a little bit more out of him, and then you could really have a talent on your hands with Levi Tundra. But as it stands, you've got a main eventer who's okay, really. And that's a shame. That is a shame. But we move on now to one of the most outlandish renders I think we've seen so far, and that's saying something with the promotions we've covered. That's Lil Dante. Lil Dante, part of Take What We Want. Middleweight, obviously one half the tag team champions, got the gangster gimmick as well. Brawling, that's pretty much all you need from him, but his entertainment skills aren't that bad either, so he's no slouch, certainly. Better talent than Deep Freeze by a small proportion, I would think. Small proportion? Yeah, small percentage, whatever. Put any word you like there. Hate mail on the back of postcards, please. But, again, someone who could probably do okay as a singles worker, but I don't think we can afford to split up the tag team, especially the tag team champions at this point in time. Move on now to pretty boy Lionel Delorme. Now Lionel Delorme? I'll probably flip between the two, either one's fine. Lionel Delorme, originally from Belfort, France. He was signed up by the AWF, however, when they had a closer inspection of his abilities, realised that they weren't quite there yet. They brought him in purely because of his looks. After a while, they realised that they really didn't have anything worth keeping, to be quite honest. But now, he's actually, since he's left, 26 years of age, he's got some experience on the independent scene, and his aerial and flashiness are now actually pretty damn good. He's an opener, so he's someone that could turn out to be a major player for the ESW going forward. Spot monkey style, which is quite dangerous to be honest, but ESW, I think he could make it work. Teen Idol gimmick. Lionel Delorme is probably the person from the lower portion of the card with Bradley Mercer that I'd be looking to escalate up the pecking order in pretty short turnaround time, I think. Move on now to 32-year-old Logan Prince. Relatively entertaining, upper mid-card heel, city slicker, a bit of a talker in terms of, I can imagine him talking himself out of most problems or into good situations by getting himself the matches he wants and what have you. So it'd be quite an entertaining character to book if you were to do an ESW diary. Basics and psychology are pretty good as well. So I'm happy to have him as an upper mid-carder, one of the better upper mid-carders we have in the company. So thank you, Logan Prince, for saving a relatively ropey main event scene, I think. Because there is talent there, and I do have to keep reminding myself that it is a regional sized company. But there's just a few key pieces, I think, missing in this company to make it really, really good. Because there's the foundation certainly there, and I think Logan Prince is one of the pillars that would help us build for success in the future. Move on now to the notorious 187. We've seen him in, I think, 2 promotions already. But anyway, here he is as well in Empire State Wrestling. This is his local promotion. He's an upper mid-carder. Got a gang leader gimmick. In-ring, one of the better talents we have, I think. 35 years of age as well. He could probably be a very good main eventer if we needed that as well, and I think we probably would. So, the Notorious 187 will probably find himself in main event matches quite soon, I think. Move on now to Patrick Yardy, the road agent. He was an independent grappler in his day, now retired, picked up the book, well, not the book, but helped people develop their matches and create things from that aspect of things behind the curtain. That's all we need him for. In fact, Patrick Yardy is usually someone that other companies try and come in and ask to use as well as a road agent, so you just hope that they wouldn't be of a level where they could sign him up for a written deal and you've lost him. So, yeah, that's something to keep an eye out for sure. The evil mastermind behind ESW himself, and that's Paul Hayden. Very loyal to his own company, authority figure. A good mind for the business, I think, was the idea behind it. He's able to satiate the niche market that he finds himself in the tri-state area. And ESW is still going since he opened the doors of the company. So, you know, as I'm now playing the owner of the company and the booker, he's not really needed, but again, you'll need someone to run it if you're not playing as it. So that's him. Referee Lawrence Jenkins, not going to worry too much about that little slapnut. Timothy Packer, former sportscaster for New York's big baseball team, the New York Dandies. Wonderful. Now he's finding himself working part-time, well not part-time, but once a month anyway for ESW. That's about all you need to know about this gentleman. Titus Flint, the other half of the tag team, the 7th Street Saints with Kenta Shiozumi. Brawler, much like his partner in that respect, although not as talented, I think, as Shiozumi. Better look, arguably, but not as talented. And again, someone who could potentially have success as a singles competitor should the need come around. for now, he's definitely going to be staying in the tag team scene until I can work out what exactly I'd be wanting to do with the tag teams that we have in general and which ones I'd want to bring in and create. Move on now to the penultimate member of the roster, in Vince Borden. At one time a bit of a garbage wrestler, but he kind of took himself a bit more seriously, tried to legitimise himself in the business. 35 years of age, big heavyweight brawler, and not bad at all actually. Upper mid-carder, again a good person to have around that level. Got the psycho gimmick, a bit of a nut job. I imagine him being a kind of guy that would not necessarily take beatings, but pretty much keep walking forward despite what you throw at him. And I think that could create a lot of interesting storylines. So yeah, Vince Borden, happy to have you. And finally we move on to Zero. 24-year-old cruiserweight, only masked worker we have in the company. Bit of a kind of trippy mask, I do like it myself. In-ring wise, okay. In fact, someone who could very easily become quite important to the company, because he's already pretty proficient in the aerial and flashiness department. Basics are pretty good. So for 24 years of age, it's pretty much all you could ask for at this level. And whilst now he's got the mysterious gimmick, I think somewhere along the line, as he's only an enhancement talent, we'd be looking to not change the gimmicks. I like the gimmick, but certainly push him more towards the mid-card scene, I think. And that nicely brings us to the end of the ESW roster. So again, some of you may be familiar with some of these characters. For most of you, I'd imagine this is the first time that you'll have the opportunity to look at them. I hope you have liked them. We'll close that screen down here. We'll see if the storylines haven't been set up, but that's fine. Actually, I don't think it requires us to run any storylines, which it doesn't. But we've already talked about a couple that are there. Now let's have a look at the lovely jubbly title renders. Now these title renders, as always, have been created by Mr. MJ Stark. Thank you very much, sir. Fantastic pieces of work again. We have the ESW Heavyweight title that's held by Cameron Rich. And the ESW Tag Team titles as held by Take What We Want, Lil Dante and Deep Freeze. Briefly have a look at the teams. As I said, there's only 3 at the moment. We've got the 7th Street Saints of Titus Flint and Kenta Shiozumi, the Ordinary Guys, which is Alvin Benson and Harley Steele, and TW3, Lil Dante and Deep Freeze. I don't think there are any stables, there aren't. Let's have a look at the creative meeting and see what we have going on. See, now that's interesting from the get-go. Levi Tundra, Chris Boone, Harvey Keenan, Jason Disaster and Cameron Rich. I would have thought for the importance of the company, that list would have been completely reversed. They're all on there, but again, like I said, not quite as I would have thought it would have been set up. Next big things, there are none. Hot prospects, we've got Bradley Merton, Alvin Benson, Lionel Delorme and Titus Flint. Talk the Talk, Dr. Crush, Harvey Keenan, Logan Prince, Vince Borden and Notorious 187. Showstoppers, Levi Tundra, Harvey Keenan, Jason Disaster and Johnny Chase. Ring Generals, we've got Johnny Chase, Jason Disaster and Levi Tundra. Who's hot? No one. Who's not? Logan Prince, Harley Steele, Kenneth Fairmount, Alvin Benson and Lil Dante. We have 3 tag team workers on that list, that's a shame. No one's on time decline list, so that's good. And Hidden Gems, again this will be changing because of the free agents being added, but we have Den Cal, Samoan Stud, Clayton Purdy, Corey Glover and Travis Hammock. And I clicked the wrong button there, so you probably heard a horrible noise. Now we can move on to actually booking this show. 2-hour show. Just trying to think what I want to do with it. Yeah, that's fine. The Queen City Ballroom's fine. We'll do that. Backstage racing's a bit poop. A lot of negative influences in there. Jacob Ruthless being one. That's probably a reason enough to cut him. A lot of positive influences, but a lot of negative ones all the same. Not too worried about that though at the moment. We could always improve that as we went along. What does that say actually? Okay, sorry, just reading some of the small print there. We'll start off with a world title match. Well, not world title, but a heavyweight title match, certainly. Right, I'm just trying to think. Cameron Rich is going to go up against a heel. I'm leaning towards Jason Disaster. and it's going to be Jason Disaster because I'm leaning towards him. I can't think of a better alternative at the moment. So let that go on a fair bit, 25 minutes I think. Be a slow build as well. Cameron Rich I'll let him retain for now. Be an open match. It'll be a slow build. And I think that's all I'm going to worry about for now. Put the tag team belts on the line as well. So we're going to have Take What We Want. There they are. Could go up against either of the other duos, but I think the 7th Street Saints would make for a more interesting match. Let this go. 19. Yep, tag team titles on the line. Lil Dante's going to win over Flint, I think, because I prefer Shiazumi, excuse me. It'll be an open match though, we're not going to bury anyone in this. The finish I'm not particularly fussed about, but again, just to give you a taster of what we can do with this company, so don't need to spend too much time thinking about it. I want a singles match between Notorious 187. Oh, hello. And Vince Borden. I think that's quite an interesting matchup. Be quite physical, I think. That will only go about 12. No, actually, I'll change my mind. I'll let the computer decide this one because I don't really have a preference. So this will be the match we'll let the computer decide. I'm pretty sure it will give it to Notorious, but I can't be certain of that. I will also look to have a co-main event of Harvey Keenan and Levi Tundra. Probably be a #1 contenders match, I see this being. I'll let them go a fair old chunk of time as well. 16 minutes. Now what I'd probably do is just say I was doing it for the purpose of the diary. I have Levi Tundra win, but Keenan kick up such a fuss and complain and do well. So he did well in the match and came close to winning. Eventually lost, but he's deserving to be put in like a triple threat match for the next show. So we'll have Levi Tundra take the win here. Okay, it will be an open match. Bit unhappy. You're a main eventer, Keenan. Okay, keep strong, Harvey Keenan. Right. Surprised he moaned about that actually, but there you go. I think we'll have a quite exciting tag team opener. I want 0 on one side. Can't go too long, obviously being just an enhancement talent. Have Lionel DeLorme team with him, and we'll have them go up against. Do I really want to put Ruthless on a winning team? Guess I will. And Eric Chalice. So we'll just give Zero and DeLorme a bit of exposure by having them go up against Ruthless and Chalice. Quite a good tag team actually, Ruthless and Chalice. That'd be makes sense to put them together probably as a unit from just the people on the roster. 8 minutes will be more than enough time for this. Chalice will win after I click it. The loser will be, I'll say 0 for this one. Open match. Let's go all out as well, so it's only going to be a one to get the crowd going. We do have enough to book a show there, but I'm not going to do it just yet. Because I want Lee Harrison and Johnny Chase to have a fight. I think this would be a match where Johnny Chase will win it. However, this would like plant the seeds for a street fight at a future show, I think, or something of that nature. So, about 12 minutes. Johnny Chase to win. Loser to be Lee Harrison, but I want Lee Harrison to look strong. Okay. Right, so how much have we booked? We booked 104 minutes. So still got 16 minutes, so we might as well put another match on and then we'll book some angles. So one more match. Let's see what we've got left. Okay, we've got a few good people left, so I'll put a tag team. No, I'll put a scramble style match, so we'll have 4 people in the match. Nothing too exciting. No, what I meant. No, just regular 4-way match. Get some of these people on here like Chris Boone, Dirk Ivers, Joey Relamanu, and Kenneth Fairmont. We'll have that one go about 10 minutes, I think. And again, I think I'll let the computer decide. It will give Chris Boone the win. I'm not particularly fussed if it does, so we'll leave it as that. Right. So let's put some angles on here. On a promo. About Harvey Keenan. Talking about his match with Cameron Rich. Let this gentleman Twitter on for 5 minutes. You want to work without a script? Go for it. Oh, click the wrong button. Go on then, see what you can do. But if you shoot on me, I will shoot you. Literally. Right. Not about Cameron Rich. No, I did mean about Cameron Rich, but from the perspective of him basically planting the seeds for a feud at the upcoming show with Levi Tundra as well. Sorry, I should have told you my entire thought process for that one. I kind of gave you bits and pieces and then lied, really. So yeah, well, I'm happy with that. I want to get do a beatdown in the ring actually to finish the whole shebang off, and it will be Harvey Keenan to beat up on Cameron Rich after he wins, to kind of again further cement his claim to being in the match and Cameron Rich wanting him to be in the match. So let it go 5 minutes. Say he goes quite a bit harder than he probably otherwise should have done. Thinking, who else do we want to give promo time to? I'm thinking maybe Chris Boone, because I know he can talk, but to what end? Actually, okay, no. It would just be a simple promo of him hyping himself up after the match. See how well you do here, Chris. Let that go on for 5 minutes as well, why not? And we'll have a kind of weird promo from Jason Disaster where he's like in a boiler room or something. So, Jason Disaster. talking about how it's taken him this long to get to a title match with Cameron Rich and he doesn't plan on letting it slip away. First work without a script, okay. You're cool, Jason. And we'll have that open the show. No, we won't. We'll have that go on after the first match. So that's a pretty packed show there. Hopefully that should have a few highlights there for us. Let's see how it does then. Yep, positive. We want to start the show. Better than I thought, certainly. Okay, so ESW Empire State of Mind 2015 being held in the Queen City Ballroom in front of 990 people. Not a bad turnout. The match had an average crowd reaction and some decent in-ring action. Jacob Ruthless and Eric Chalice defeated Zero and Lionel Delorme in 7 minutes 41 when Eric Chalice defeated Zero by pinfall with a poisoned chalice. Jason Disaster cuts a promo, gets a D+. Jason Disaster struggled when going off script. You asked to go off script. Asked to go off script. Sounds like a disease that a pet would have. You asked to go off script. You live and die by the sword on that one, I'm afraid. This is a very good match, actually. And about that had great heat and good action. Notorious 187 defeated Vince Borden in 12 minutes 17 by pinfall with a drive-by. Wasn't expecting miracles from this one, so I'm okay with that. And about that had a good crowd and some decent in-ring action. Chris Boone defeated Dirk Ivers, Joey Relamano and Kenneth Fairmount in 10 minutes 29 when Chris Boone defeated Kenneth Fairmount by pinfall with a last house on the right. Now what's quite interesting here is that I didn't actually select to win in this one, but I assumed that it was going to give it to Chris Boone, which is quite fortunate, seeing as this promo came next. D-. Okay. I was hoping for a little bit better from this one. And about that had a good crowd and some decent in-ring action. Johnny Chase defeated Lee Harrison in 12 minutes 18 by pinfall with a Chase is over. Is he over though? I don't know. Oh! And about that had a good crowd and some decent in-ring action. TEW3 defeated 7th Street Saints in 90 minutes 8 when Lil Dante defeated Titus Flint by pinfall with a Dante's Peak. TEW3 make defense number 1 of their ESW tag team titles. Now, most likely that's because I wasn't specific enough with exactly what I wanted to happen in this match. So the onus is a little bit on me, I think. That's a shame. But okay. Harvey Keenan cuts a promo hyping up his upcoming match with Cameron Rich, well, what will be his upcoming match. The match isn't as great as I wanted it to be, so in a battle that had great heat and some decent in-ring action. Levi Tundra defeated Harvey Keenan in 60 minutes 15 seconds by pinfall with an Arctic Tundra. Harvey Keenan was tiring towards the end. Levi Tundra was tiring towards the end. There you go. In a bout that had great heat and good action, Cameron Rich defeated Jason Disaster in 25 minutes and 26 seconds by submission with a neutralizer. Cameron Rich makes defense number 1 of his ESW heavyweight title. So again, once proving why Cameron Rich is the main event champion that he is. Excuse me for the hiccup there, that was quite awkward. Hashtag awkward. C- for that, that's okay. The show hopefully will have improved our overall popularity in the region until we do that afterwards. Harvey Keenan attacks Cameron Rich in the ring and leaves him down and out. I'm so used to finishing with a match that it threw me right off. But can't complain too much. The show increased our popularity in one region with a C-, so all things considered not too bad there. And that culminates our look at ESW and what they have in store for us. We've had a look at the roster, all the titles, the tag teams. We've booked a show. Hopefully you have liked the company in general. I do like this company actually, even though I moaned about quite a few of the people on the roster, but I do like the company. If you have liked this video yourself, please do hit that like button and subscribe down below. It means a great deal to me. Again, like I said, for the 50 subscriber video, I have sorted out exactly what I want to do, which will be the first video in another series that I have in mind. It's quite a special series. I think you guys out there will enjoy it. I won't give too much detail or too many details away just yet about what that exactly involves. But for now, that brings us to the end of episode 20. If you guys in the comments below do the usual, let me know what company you want me to cover next in the Londonverse, or what region you want me to visit to where possible, and I will make sure that that is covered in the next episode, episode 21, where I'm thinking I might wear a festive jumper. Is the season after all. Anyway, thank you for watching this video, guys, and thanks for stopping by.